If fibromyalgia was just stress, then stress management classes would fix it. Deep breathing would fix it. A better mindset would fix it. A weekend off would fix it. But for most of us dealing with fibromyalgia, it doesn't. So what's actually going on? Welcome back to Holistic Fibromyalgia Journeys. I hope you're having a comfortable day. Today, we're discussing the difference between fibromyalgia and the saying, it's just stress. I've experienced a lot of stress in my life from multiple sources, and most of us have. I know what it feels like to be overwhelmed, tired, under pressure, but what I was dealing with in having fibromyalgia was very different than just stress. It wasn't about mental strain. It was a pain that didn't match my activity levels, exhaustion that wasn't relieved by resting. Symptoms persist even after my life had calmed down, and that distinction is extremely relevant. Chronic stress does have an effect on the body. It changes sleep patterns, our adrenal system, how much cortisol is going through our body, increases muscle tension, and it impacts how we feel pain. I mean, even when we're just dealing with stress, that is something all of us learn how to do from childhood. However, when it gets to becoming chronic stress, it can cause physiological changes in your body. It can make the symptoms be much worse than they were before. However, just because our symptoms worsen, it does not indicate that we're fragile. It doesn't indicate that we cannot cope. What it indicates is our body has been adapted so long to the fight or flight and the high cortisol levels that it actually changes our brain chemistry a bit. It means that our body has adapted to different patterns, and when it reaches that level of triggering fibro and how our body reacts to it, it will change how much we can handle. While stress does feed how much of our symptoms we feel, that's not the whole story. There is so much going on more than stress. When someone looks at you, whether it be a doctor or a friend, and say, oh, it's just stress. We all deal with stress. Do you understand that word just is dismissive? It dismisses what you're feeling and giving it a context that is not what we relate to. It reduces how complex the symptoms of fibromyalgia are. It implies that you can control it. And when that responsibility is laid on our feet, that also is what people tend to make you feel like they're also associating it. Blame on what you can do because you're not controlling it. It's controlling you. Many people who have fibro tend to be the type A personalities. We tend to be the go-getters. We tend to be the ones that we see a problem, we go out and fix. And yes, I'm talking about me too. I mean, I can't tell you how often if I say, if someone is in control, I'm going to take control. It's just how it is. It can be a good thing in many ways, but it does affect how our body reacts. We also tend to be extremely resilient. We tend to push through what is a discomfort for most, and we just plow right through as if we are just plowing a field because we see something that's got to get done. And so, okay, we see somebody who needs to be taken care of, we do it. And when we're told things, it can really affect how we see ourselves. We're so used to being the ones that take care of everything that when all of a sudden we can't, it increases stress. It's like we want to say, oh, I can go do that. Our body says, yeah, no, you can't. And that really is a very hard thing to learn how to handle. And this also reinforces the sense of failure we may feel. And this is a loop that I have described in other videos because it is so relevant to what we deal with. We have got to break that cycle. That is a part of what is needed when it comes to learning how to control fibro to as much of a level as we can. And if we go over that level, part of what we need to really learn is that it's okay to have times when we're not down at where we want to be. The fact is what we need to do is strive for a balance. We've got to accept that there are going to be times when we can't do what we really want to do. And ways of dealing with this is by dealing with our nervous system and accepting its limitations. I know that's a really bad word to use, but it's the truth. Our body is adapted to a point where we have to be realistic. And by doing that, what it does is it starts reducing some of the cortisol. Nervous regulation is vital. We've got to make sure we learn realistic pacing. Maybe finding a counselor or someone you can talk to, because therapy does help. The depression, lifestyle changes are also extremely important. Whether it be we start cooking simpler meals or batch cooking, whether it be we start tweaking our diet to try and remove foods that may trigger more episodes in us. But no matter how much you change, you can get a reduction, but that's not a cure. Bringing it back to the "it's just stress" statement, most of us would recover if life was calmer, but we're living in the real world. There is no such thing as calm. And the fact that even if we do calm our lives down, it doesn't take away the symptoms. And that's something you've really got to accept. When I would get told it was just stress, it didn't make me angry, at least not at them. It made me angry at myself. It made me question my own perceptions of what I was dealing with. It also made me question whether I could survive dealing with the times when I stayed at a pain of 10 or 12 for weeks on end. When you're so hung up on how much pain you feel, you begin to doubt your own body, your own perceptions. And that's when you start isolating yourself. And that's why clarity matters so much. We shouldn't argue with our bodies. We shouldn't defend what we're dealing with, because no matter how you look at it, they have perceptions, but they don't feel what you feel. And you should not feel shame at dealing with what your body gives you. Fibromyalgia is not a failure of coping. It's a physiological illness. Stress may influence it. Stress intensifies it. But it's not just anything. This space is about understanding fibromyalgia honestly, reducing isolation, increasing clarity, and building a community that doesn't minimize lived experience. If you have ever been told that it's just stress, I'd be interested to see how it affected you. I would also really like to say welcome. If you find this content helpful, maybe like or subscribe. If you know of someone who needs help or who wants to understand their illness, feel free to share. This community is one I'm building to try and reduce the isolation of people who are fighting with this illness. And I would really love to have people join me here. Not as pressure, but sharing. Next week, I intend on discussing food, how it can affect your body, some of the anti-inflammatory foods, This is all building towards later episodes, and I hope maybe some of it can help some of you to reduce some of these symptoms. I do want to add one thing. These videos are written from my own personal experiences, from my own research. They are not meant as a medical diagnosis. They're not meant as medical advice. I'm just trying to share ways that I've learned to deal with the illness from over 3 decades of experience.